That's not how it was meant to be. So welcome everybody to things may well be funny that are meant to be serious, and things that you wouldn't have found extremely sad, the sadness of things, there could well be changes. Hold on, I'm just going to tell my mum to stop making quite so much noise. Hold on. So much rattling going. That's all right. Sorted her out.
Be quiet.
Yeah, I was going to just shout, be quiet. But then I thought, not everyone understands that that's okay to shout at your very elderly mother. Of course it is okay. You were shouted at constantly as a child. It's payback.
Yeah. Are you up for questions?
I think I better say something first, Faith.
Okay.
People expect me to speak at these things. But Marla's got a point. Of course, it would be nice to hear from as many of you as would like to share, you know, just how it is. And of course, there isn't a way it should be. That's the whole message, really. This is the end of thinking that there's a right way that it should be, how it should feel. This is completely all-inclusive. The words wholeness and completeness that you hear, if you've listened to non-duality people who speak about this, then you'll have heard those words over and over again. And really, they're just talking of the lack of exclusion. There isn't anything that's excluded. No one's barred. Nothing is barred. And of course, that's never what me wants. That's never what self wants. What self only wants what it wants, and wants to get rid of what it wants to get rid of. And this message is saying, well, that's the root of all suffering. It's ridiculously simple. The suffering comes from aspects of life being right and other aspects of life being wrong. Doesn't it? And it's outrageously obvious that life is always just as it is. And that includes your judgment of it as well. So there's actually nothing wrong with you saying that life should be different. I mean, how wonderful is that? So it's even inclusive of your judgments about how life should be. That's okay too. Won't make any difference, but it's perfectly all right. This is a message of complete impotence. And like everything about this message, complete impotence is the only power. The complete lack of any personal power is empowering. I know, again, it doesn't make any sense, but that's how it is. And I don't mean power. Power is the wrong word, but the lack of personal power, the total absence of personal power, which is how life is beautifully straightforward and simple. And in the simplicity is all the, I want to say power again, but it's not the right word. Energy, love, peace, all of the things that spiritual teachers have been talking about throughout history. Everything that's been written about heaven, nirvana, bliss, everything. It's just not somewhere else. It's not attainable. It's nothing to work towards. There's no moving towards it or away from it. It isn't an it. There is actually nothing to move towards or away from. This is unmoving. Completely unmoving. Full of movement. And life asks nothing of you. Nothing. Is you. It is the illusion of yourself that asks of life. It asks of yourself, of others, of nature, of God, and whatever else you want to make up, as separate things that could be put right, that could be improved, that could in some way be bettered, as if this could be bettered. And of course, in imagination, life could be better. And that's exactly what all ideas of improvement, including self-improvement, are. Imagination, fantasy. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just simply, that's what it is, isn't it? Their ideas, their beliefs, their fantasies, their imagination. Beautiful, but only real as what they are. Real imagination, real hopes, real dreams, real fantasies, real me and my real life. Me and my destiny. All of those beautiful fantasies that it seems that most human beings live for. And self is completely preoccupied with self, and then misses all that there is. Can't be missed, it's not really missed. Seemingly missing all that there is. And all that there is this. But this isn't something. This isn't something to be found. This isn't something solid. This isn't a higher state. This isn't an experience. All experiences are this, but this isn't an experience. Okay. Faith, would you like to ask your question now?
Oh, right, okay then. It's sort of in the Western tradition, there are these certain phrases that I don't know, they seem to be in the water. One is know thyself. Yeah.
What is that phrase?
Know thyself from the Greek.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is, the Shakespeare. I can't even think what it is now. Wait a minute. Oh, to thine own self be true. Now, those are deeply within our culture. Mm-hmm. would you care to expand, or how would you interpret those expressions?
Well, those ideas, I don't think those ideas were about much. Well, they were, weren't they? One's Greek, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's above the Temple of Delphi, legendary, isn't it? Legend has it that it was written, "Know thyself" was written above the temple, Greek temple. Have I got that wrong? Somebody with a bit more historical knowledge.
I think that's right.
So it comes from Greek philosophy.
But what about the Shakespeare, which is
Well, it is deeply embedded. The whole notion of self as real, it's so embedded that it's very rarely questioned, isn't it? I mean, this is one of the few, you could say, these groups where we speak about this. It's one of the few areas where you can actually deny self utterly. You know, self is sacrosanct. I mean, self is God. You could say certainly in the West,
yeah,
the individual self, individuality is sacred. And with that, the sacredness of self comes the sacredness of free will, personal free will and choice and volition. You know, personal empowerment, that I have the power to control my own life, to have my own say. Which sounds lovely in principle, doesn't it? But in practice, it doesn't work out so well for most human beings, does it? There's very little peace in it. And I'll say something about the know thyself. If you've been trying to do that, as Tim tried for at least 30 years, I was more of a seeker of self than enlightenment or liberation or any of the spiritual things. I was much more a psychological seeker of myself, you know, to know myself. That's really what I tried to do. And if you've been interested in psychology, that would be the root of it, I would guess, for most people who have studied psychology and been interested in psychology. They really, there's a drive and an urge to know oneself, to know who I am, this sense of I am. And I'm guessing a lot of you have done this as well. The more you learn, the more elusive self becomes. That's how it was here. So I learned endless theories, and it became more and more obvious that the stuff I was learning was just from another self who'd been on the journey, had been on the search, and created some hypotheses, created some ideas, clever ideas, but they never rang true. And the truth is, in Tim's search for himself, he never found himself. He never found anything. And
extending on from that, I was in one organization where the aim seemed to be the self, to see the self in others. And I was absolutely no good at that at all. Does that ring bells?
yeah, of course. It does ring a bell, yeah.
Which is a no-no.
Well, it just, so with self-inquiry, I mean, you know, this this Advaita idea of self-inquiry. Well, I think it takes so little self-inquiry to find nothing. That's, I mean, I may be being flippant about it and just really crap at self-inquiry. That's maybe how it was, that I was just useless at it. But if I looked and I looked inside, I didn't find anything. There was nothing to see. apart from what was there was certainly no self there. There was just thoughts and feelings, you could say, or sensations in the body, sights and sounds. If I close my eyes, then preoccupied with sounds become more vivid, but they weren't mine. They never found anything of myself. I don't think it takes much looking. So that's why I never advocate self-inquiry. I mean, I could set everyone homework for this week to do, 10 minutes self-inquiry every day, and see what you came up with. But I'm thinking it will be a blank.
That's really helpful, Tim. Thanks.
And of course, to self, that can feel shocking. I mean, even meditation, which is just sitting quietly at the most basic level, just sitting quietly with yourself, for a lot of selves, that's horrific. Because what might self see in the quiet and the just sitting and not doing, in the inactivity, in the purposelessness, emptiness might be seen. And for self, emptiness is terrifying generally. Don't get me wrong, there might be some lovely peace in it, but there'd be this always conflicted. Emptiness is conflicting for self. It so desires the peace and rest, but of course it knows it can't exist there. And so at the same time as being drawn towards it, it's running away and trying to escape. So there's always this conflict for self. Whereas naturally, emptiness isn't to be feared at all. There's nothing to be feared in emptiness. Literally, nothing. What is there to be feared of nothing? Nothing isn't frightening. Nothing is what it is. Nothing. Empty. Beautifully free. Boundless. Edgeless. But that's terrifying for me. Where the hell do I put myself there? Where do I fit into nothing? Well, you don't. You don't fit into nothing. There's no place for you in nothing. Well, only as nothing. And the sense of self can't imagine itself as empty, as nothingness. I have to be something. And so there's so many teachings about awareness and pure consciousness, pure awareness, higher levels, just so that I don't die. I don't die, I just transform. I transform from poor little egoic me, very lowly and egotistical, to this higher self, this pure consciousness, this pure awareness. And you won't be surprised to hear that's rather more attractive to self than nothing. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Well, nothing doesn't sell, does it? What's in it for me? Nothing. Am I going to get nothing? So what are you saying? What are you saying? I'm nothing? Yeah.
Tim.
Scott.
Hey, I just saw a cartoon that it had two monks and one's crying and he says, nothing makes any sense. Nothing makes sense. And the other one's going, it's true, it does.
It's so true. Yeah, that's nice. The thing about nothing is nothing doesn't make sense. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nothing needs to make sense. Nothing doesn't, right? This doesn't need to make sense. And it won't make sense. The effort all the trying to get this by get it, I mean not only attain it, but understand it. Well, that's the illusion, that this is gettable. Of course, this is already got, isn't it? There's nothing to get. So what's in it for me? Nothing. So what should I do? It doesn't matter. Nothing, whatever you like. They're just the same. They're all equally empty. So the freedom in that, the freedom in nothing, is unimaginable for me. Literally unimaginable, because I'm always about what I can get from it. And of course, now, I do know people who have been seekers and then found non-duality. And of course, then they've made non-duality into something. So of course you can make nothing into a new something that you can then go seeking for. So I'll find nothing. I mean, that's me, will do anything to maintain itself. And by maintaining itself, it just needs to be able to have something to aim for, to search for. So I can make nothing my new target, my new aim, my new goal is that I will become nothing. This message is not saying you will become nothing. It's saying you are. Now that's a big difference. It's immeasurably different. This is not an attainment. It feels like a loss because, of course, I says I already have a lot. I've already had a lot of experience. I've had a lot of life. I've got lots of stories. I've got lots of relationships. I've got lots of everything, haven't I? That's what I am. I am what I have. So if they are all seen to be nothing, essentially, it feels like loss. But again, it always was nothing. There is nothing lost. Nothing gained, nothing lost. This is always as it is, always empty, always full. Roger, it's so lovely to see you. It's made my day. Well, that was quite a lot about self there, Faith. I don't know what you thought of that.
I thought that was jolly interesting. Thank you.
Very interesting. That sounds like a veiled criticism, but I'll take it.
What?
No, it's fine. I'm only joking, Faith. That's can't help it. You know, a lot of people when they go, and how did you find that? Very interesting, which means shit, really. Usually when people say that.
No, if I thought it was shit, I'd have told you. I'm from Essex, mate.
I do know you, Faith. I've met you before, and if
Yep.
you thought it was shit, you would tell me.
Yeah, I would.
I'm from Essex, mate. Yeah. So, has anybody else got a question you'd like to ask? Scott's got his hand up.
Yeah. Yeah. Along with Faith laughing at cemeteries, one of the things that it really makes me laugh now is watching the news when it's on, because it's usually in the other room, someone else watching it.
Yeah.
And how they give you all these numbers, and here's the COVID deaths, or here's the election now they're talking about. It's just like they're filling you with information that's completely irrelevant to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of this thing I heard about narcissists. Their most potent weapon is induced conversation, which means I start to talk to you about what I think is real, and I don't let you go. And so here you are caught in, okay, 2,200, 406, and it's like you're following a spider web, and before you know it, you're caught in all this information that it's not even made into any context. It's just a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I can see how our minds do that constantly about making ourselves real. Like, just follow me down this rational thinking, and then here's information and dates and times, and oh God, I just see it as is endless, and the mind will never get to the end. And it's
Yeah.
promised that if it gets to the end, if it understands all the numbers and information, it will be freed from it.
Yeah.
But it never will be, because it won't end. It's
No.
just a constant sucking of your attention.
Yeah.
And here's my mom, my poor mom, you know, it's just, oh, I gotta watch it. I gotta figure. And I just go, Mom,
But
you
what-
gotta turn. Yeah.
Well, for self loves knowledge, and the illusion is that you watch the news and you're knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and self then feels a bit safer. That's all that knowledge is. Knowledge is the illusion of security. So if I know a little bit more, then I'm in a better position to keep myself safe. And of course, in COVID, then it's even more pertinent, because the news is actually saying the whole of the news is now just about how you can keep yourself safe. So and so there's so much. Well, self is full of fear anyway, and all that does is amplify it. Because of
It's like
course,
the-
knowledge
yeah.
doesn't keep you any safer.
It's like if they found the perfect manipulative, you know, balance. But
Yeah.
it's not they, obviously. It's our own. It's probably to make us vomit on our own need for security.
Thing about it, Scott, is though it's completely innocent. All of that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're as fearful as the people they're talking to.
Absolutely.
It's a fear fest.
Yeah, self can't do anything other than help other selves keep safe, because I'm afraid for myself.
Right.
And so, and I have the illusion that if I've got the right information, then I will be able to keep myself safe.
Yeah.
This all boils down to death for self. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, it's all information. It's like those people that the bridge is falling and they're jumping from one brick to the next as the bridge. Like, just give me one more step of information.
Yeah.
I could live one more day, one more second.
Yeah. Thanks,
I
Scott.
I like what you said last time. You said, I'll be in mortal danger if I don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
And that's probably the spark that happened to all of us at 1 year old or something, you know. It's
Well, and we've had it drummed into us. Our conditioning has been all about that.
Yeah.
Our parents were all paranoid about our safety. Don't forget their safety, and how terrible they'll feel if you got in a position where you got into danger, how bad they would feel. So they put all of that onto you.
Yeah.
Completely innocently. Just as the wonderful thing about this is that everything is innocent. Selves aren't choosing to be selves.
Yeah.
Selves aren't deliberately deluding themselves. No one would do that.
Well, yeah, and it's also, you know,
Self is just trying to help the human being stay alive. It's
yeah.
doing a really shit job of it.
Well, actually, that's probably just, you know, you've got a 5-year-old now. If I see anybody who got their kid to 18 is probably saving. They help their kid not commit suicide 1,000 times. You know, walking across the street or falling out of a window or drinking you know, it's just a constant battle against our own.
But the thing is, yeah, but I'm not really speaking about that sort of stuff, because I think that's natural. You know,
yeah.
You see a mother cat with kittens, and they go to cross the road. The mother cat will, you know, pick the kittens up and take them to safety. That's so, you know, stopping your kid running in the road, I just think that's natural. But
Sure.
teaching your kid about I don't know, I can't think of an example now. Something theoretical, some imagined future danger that you have to teach them about.
Yeah.
Like strangers, for example. That's a good one.
Or terrorists, you know, or
Yeah, strangers is the most common though. Stranger danger, call it in the UK.
or even climate change. It's just
all
too much for a
human
kid to
beings-
handle.
All
you know?
human beings you know are safe.
Yeah.
All human beings you don't know are dangerous. I mean,
Yeah.
that's almost universally taught to children. I mean, that is some shit conditioning, isn't it? And we wonder why we're paranoid and we're, you know, xenophobic and and jingoistic and racist and nationalist and tribalist, and because we're taught that if I don't know him, he probably wants to kill me or eat me. I don't know. That's what my mum said.
10 million years of conditioning.
It's like, I mean, at a really basic level, it makes sense, but it's, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks. Can I just come in with one more thing?
Yes,
Sam?
go, Scott. Yeah, sure.
Because it's not just the safety, it's also like even watching sports now where they have to tell you what happened in the first quarterfinal of the 1957. It's this whole thing of constantly reminding you that this is real because I have a whole stack of words and information going back to infinity. And it's as if all the reality that we're looking at is standing on top of real solid stuff, and it isn't.
Yeah,
And I
no.
could see that. It's just
But
it's like
while,
the constant desire for it to be like I can see everybody wants it to be real. It's like a team, you know. It's,
well,
I don't. Some
the
people
one-
would say it's the devil, but it just feels like everybody's in on it in a way, you know.
yeah,
Like
of
everyone's
course.
against you.
Well, everyone is in on it. Everyone's sense of I is in on it.
Yeah.
The sense of this universal sense of I, they're all in on it. And the in on it is, if I don't know what reality is, I don't really have any ground to stand on.
Yeah.
And the core of reality is I. Without that solid center of feeling embodied, of feeling inside, there's no knowing what's real and unreal. Not really. And amazingly, it doesn't matter. Whereas to me, of course, I really need to know. If I have to discern between reality and illusion, between real and unreal. Otherwise, I'm in mortal danger if I don't know that ground, the ground of reality. And the ground of reality is I am. The ground of reality is I know myself. I know who I am. I know my identity.
You know, I kind of want to say it's until you know that you're your own ground of reality, you're probably going to listen to team I out there who are, because you don't want to pull away from them because they're the ones saying it's real. And if you pull away from that, you lose your shared game of we're real together. This is real.
Yeah.
It really is, does come down to what Faith said. You do have to say, know yourself and to thy own self be true, but in a way that makes everything else unreal. It's,
well, yeah, you see, I wouldn't say this. I mean, you could say it that way, but I wouldn't say it that way.
okay.
Because this isn't about being true to yourself. This is,
Tricky.
that doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense at all. No, there is no self to be true to. And unfortunately, the self that everyone is trying to be true to, which involves hiding lots of parts of that true self in darkness, hiding them away from, even from myself, because there's parts I don't want to look at. But there is, you know, there is no truth in self. It's all illusion all the way through. There's nothing to find. That's the whole message. I mean, it isn't very exciting, really, is it? I don't know why you turn up, but there isn't anything to find. Well, other than everything, but not for you though. You know, there isn't anything about you to find, and you've been looking for shit for yourself, and there isn't anything to find for yourself. You won't see yourself. You genuinely look in the mirror and you will not see yourself. You might go, who the hell is that old bastard? I don't remember him. But you won't see yourself. There isn't anything to see. And
It is a bit lonely though.
say you won't see yourself. I should be saying you don't see yourself. But of course, the illusion is that you do.
There is a stage, Tim, though, where it is lonely because you're pulling
Absolutely.
out of it.
This is complete.
And you were counting on the real to be with you. You
Yeah.
you kind of wanted to bring the real with you, and then but you had to. It drifted away as you went into or went out of.
Well, there's no one to bring the real with. You know, there's you can't carry anything anymore.
That
It's
was
like,
the fantasy of
you know,
having relationships.
the one who had hands and baskets and carrier bags to bring stuff along with him. Well, they don't work anymore.
Yeah.
You can't pick up stuff anymore. And there's don't get me wrong, there's real sadness in that. There's some, you're not going to gain anything anymore. There's no chance. There's no possibility. There's no possibility of you getting any more, of you gaining anything. You know, all your dreams, they're all shot to bits. Everything, the whole lot. They're not even smashed up. There's no pieces left. They didn't even exist in the first place. It's worse than smashed up. So it's worse than broken dreams. It's like dreams are just dreams. Oh shit. What, they can't come true? No.
Those were kind of the last things to go
Just dreams. That doesn't mean dreaming doesn't still happen. Of course that can happen. But there's no investment in it. There's no one to invest in a dream. You can't. But dreaming still happens. How's that? How's that work? I don't know. But dreaming happens. Just you and there's sadness in that as well. Oh yeah, just another dream.
Yeah.
No reality in that. And yeah, it's beautiful too. You know, there's no one dreaming, just dreams. How lovely is that? There's no one in pain, just pain. How beautiful is pain? Dreadfully painful, but and this again, it makes no sense, but there's much more compassion. Don't ask me how. I don't know that at all. For just pure humanness, just for being human. That's what we are. So if I was going to try and speak about reality, I would say the only reality is for human beings is being human, isn't it? But it's been co-opted. It's been stolen in an attempt to control this totally free human being human. This free being, whatever this, however it is. And that's incredibly beautiful and full of love. It's just full of love because it's just as it is. There's no love in control, is there? Control, you know, all this, all the talk, you know, the ideas of tough love, you know, I'll control that human being because I love them. Bullshit. That's all for me. You can call it love if you want. It's not love though. It's control. You know?
Sometimes you can catch your ego trying to tough love you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Scott. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to say? Doesn't have to be a question, just, I don't know, something you wanted to say. Hi, Michael.
Hello. Scott was talking about this loneliness, this primal, innate loneliness, a loneliness that seems to be a quality of being human or being an imaginary human. Do you see any relationship between this alone longingness and love?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, there's love alone, isn't there? And
Could
yet,
you elaborate?
here's Michael, and here's Tim. And so we share this aloneness. Now that doesn't have to make any sense, but you could say that's what we do in relationship. Seeming relationships are our shared aloneness.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh, beautiful.
I remember something I read of yours when I first saw your writing on I'm guessing it was on YouTube, on Rainbows, I guess, where you talked about this aloneness, and it really resonated, and that's one of the reasons why I think there's still quite an energy to do this, what we're doing here, because this is what we're doing. We're sharing the aloneness that life is. For a human being, this is utterly alone. And of course it is alone for all being. There is being alone, but we've got these enormous brains that allow us to be aware of the aloneness, I guess. But this is much more alone than when it was my life, or when it was really obviously my life, because then of course I shared it with all the others. And in relationship, the aloneness is particularly in intimate relationships, then the aloneness is, I don't know, is muted. It doesn't, you can really feel like you're not alone anymore. If you find the one, you know, that's the romantic ideals of the one, of finding the one. I mean, it's a beautiful idea for me, but when there is what, you know, what we're speaking about, there aren't words for, but whatever we're speaking about, of course, there is alone, and you're no longer apart from it. You are alone. You know, there's this alone. That's it. This and this alone. There isn't anywhere. There's no escape. There's no possibility of. There's no possibility of a fantasy about a future in which, you know, you will become one with another. Which was, I mean, the loss of that may well be the greatest, you know, the loss of that illusion that you could be at one with another, which of course is the story of falling in love. And it is the story, it's the human story, isn't it? The loss of that is really sad. There is a great saying.
I see that the aloneness, not only individually, but also in mass.
Yeah.
As far as I think we'll ever know, we are alone in the universe. No species like us. So that aloneness, and then that objectified aloneness, I think sentience is is a longing. And then when it turns into an objectified perspective, that's an objectified longing. We long for things that exist as ideas, as only as ideas. And that can be difficult, longing for imaginary things, happiness and joy.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to think that's where love comes from, this longing, a love longing.
It is
And I
lovely.
can't articulate as well as you do with how they are the same thing, or how they merge into a profound compassion for other humans, for simply being human.
Yeah.
I think of people as heroes, as festooned with medals from various wars and campaigns. And they get up in the morning and go to work with a sick child after being up all night with a sick child. I just love human beings. I love being human. And I love the way you talk about it. It's quite wonderful.
Thanks, Michael. And yeah, and when I first found your words, it was the first time that I didn't feel quite as alone, because you talked about aloneness, and that's what I felt in the falling away, or the loss of the sense of knowing. There was just an incredible aloneness, and you spoke about it, and then just hearing it from another human being, which is what we're doing here. Just hearing it from another human being is it's still alone, but this but sharing the aloneness is the best we can do. Didn't sound much, does it? But it is.
I jotted down something this morning in my little notebook, which was relevant to what you're saying. I wrote down, "Together we are alone," which I quite like that.
It's nice. Of course, there isn't really we. No.
It sounded nice though.
No we. Not really.
No.
But there we go. Yeah, lovely. So I don't talk about the sadness. Michael talks about this better than me, if you want to hear about the sadness, because Michael talks about the beautiful melancholia, the melancholy that that does, and that's another way of speaking about aloneness, and that's another way of speaking about love, by the way, because it's this is because there's this love alone, it's unrequited love. Because there's just love. It's and yet, of course, then we have each other, which we don't. But that's as good as we've got. And strangely, it's enough.
It is.
Yeah.
I think every painter, every poet, every dancer, every writer is reaching for this completion, is trying to satiate this aloneness.
Yeah. I would guess so, yeah. Well, I'm thinking that's what we all do.
Even people who speak of this perspective are reaching through their aloneness into this world, unknown unknowableness.
Yeah.
Ramana continued to speak until the moment he died. Nisargadatta, Wai, they all did. So I think that continuing is this longing loneliness. But it's not, I don't know if it's embraced, or I don't know quite the word to.
You see, I mean, I'd use this. I'd say it's slightly different. You know, I don't think there's any loneliness anymore. I don't feel lonely.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't have loneliness.
Well, loneliness we think of as a word, and it's kind of what?
For me, it's the longing for other. It's the longing for other.
Yeah.
And one of the great. I don't think I'd speak about this if I felt lonely, like I often did as myself.
Yeah.
I felt lonely my whole life, really. I was always that's what the all motivation was, seeking some kind of relief from this dreadful longing, you know, just always trying to feel, at least if not, you know, completed by another, just acknowledged. I was always seeking acknowledgement constantly. Just see me, at least speak to me, acknowledge my existence. You know, it was a constant here, and it's a great relief. It's a huge relief not to have that. You know, because I think
right.
Michael, is we're making this sound pretty crap, and we're making it sound highly
Yeah, you're right.
and yet
I like your long.
But but I don't like to make this out to be some sort of a place of perfection, and yet of course it is.
Yeah.
It's perfectly, but not perfect for the human being. It's everything. It's all of it.
I think it feels like having a foot in two worlds at the same time. The sublime quiescence in the center, and also the swirling mnemonic debris that the sense of self can inhabit two worlds at the same time. But you're right about the longing, and not lonely. I haven't felt lonely since for some time. But you're right. You say it much more eloquently than I do, and I that's what I love about being in your company. It's very pleasant.
Thanks, Michael. Oh, and thank you, because you and a few others were there when I was when life seemed very, very groundless and incredibly alone.
Mm.
And just being able to share, being able to speak about this with others who are just open to speak about life is a beautiful thing. It's you shouldn't underestimate it, because if this does bite you, you'll have so few people you can speak to about it. That's one of the most difficult things. And well, it's fine if you're not a speaker, but I can't shut up, as you can tell. So for me, it was dreadful not being able to speak to people about it, because I just wanted to tell everyone. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
There's I was just going to say, Tim, if anyone's interested, Michael has a lovely little group called Exploding Rainbows, and he does a little meeting every day. I think it's at 10:30 UK time. But if anyone's interested, it's only a small group. It's nice.
Yeah, lovely. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to share or ask? What's in the chat? Krista says it doesn't make sense, but it resonates as hell. What is resonating? Oh, I don't know. We don't have to name it, Krista. What else we got?
Hi, Tim. This is Michael.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Michael.
I'm just meeting you now.
Oh, nice to meet you.
I'm from Portland, Oregon. It's noon.
Is this your first? Are you just saying hi, Michael?
Just saying hi.
Ah, okay. Oh, yeah. I thought you. I thought you had some incredibly pertinent question for me.
Well, who knows? You know, stay tuned.
Okay. I look forward to it when you're ready. Mm. Now Michael's gone.
He was chatting to me. He said he had a couple of questions for you. Yeah. So that's his questions.
Well, his question was, could I say hello?
Oh, I thought you meant Michael. Michael, is he still here?
No, Michael's
Mark-
asked it.
Michael Markham.
Michael's.
Still? Oh, there's Michael. I can see him. Yeah.
Or somebody else. I'm still here. Yeah.
Did you have a question, Michael?
No.
Oh,
No.
fine. Good. Good. That's always. Oh, that's excellent, Michael. Good
Great.
work. No questions. You're done.
Well, I'm not really. I didn't really know. I didn't really know the format. You know, I didn't know that.
Well,
I didn't know what to expect.
Well, to be honest, I don't know about format. We don't really. We're not standing on much ceremony here, but.
Well, I'm curious. What in
Basic courtesies apply.
Okay. Am I being courteous?
Oh yeah, extremely.
All right, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tim, I got a question.
Is that Howard?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Howard.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, Howard. Yeah, because I invited you. Yeah.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yourself?
Oh, just lovely. Well, I thought about what I should ask you
Don't think
since
about
yesterday, and I thought I would just go with the standard. And I really am curious what you think of this and how you'd react. Do you
Right.
have a brain, a physical brain that exists in time and space?
Well, that's a really straightforward, Howard, isn't it?
Well, it definitely lends itself to a touchstone for conversation.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you go on a dating site, Howard, and
Yes.
that's your standard introductory question.
You know what?
I'm
You know
really
what?
concerned about your ability to, be successful in that field.
Let me tell you something, brother. I am beating them away with a stick. LOL. I'm kidding.
Right. Not with that sort of non-dual nonsense, you're not.
Actually, I think a lot of times people are more attracted to how one sees their philosophy rather than the philosophy itself. I love non-duality.
I'm just laughing because you said I'll just start off with the standard question, as if that's how you all conversations are opened with that.
Well, the reason why I love the reason why I love the question so much is because it does, in the auspices of non-duality or duality or any kind of philosophy regarding reality itself, whether you can answer the question accurately is up for debate, and in fact, it's impossible to answer incorrectly or correctly. So, whether you believe you have a brain that exists in time and space is a touchstone for further conversation. We can always refer back to, well, are we referring to a brain that exists in time and space in an actual sense, or are we referring to someone who believes that they have a brain that exists in time and space? And they go from.
Seems like I'm avoiding answering because I haven't even answered it yet, Howard.
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm one of those, you know, you're at the dating, we're doing speed dating, your time's up, and you haven't even got an answer yet. Now you have to move on. You have to move seats. I don't know if you've been speed dating, Howard.
Not yet, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah, good. So the very straightforward answer is I don't know, Howard. Is that any good?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, in that regard,
Pardon?
well, it's a beautiful answer, and in fact,
Sorry, you're cutting.
um,
I can't hear you, Howard. You're cutting in and out.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's a beautiful answer. I mean, it's just something to know in regards to future conversation, and if we were to have any future
It'd be
conversation,
straightforward, I don't know.
yeah, we simply don't know,
But then
and
that
something.
would be my answer to that would be my answer to every question, but then
Right.
I'll change it, and then I go, well, when I say I don't know, and then I'll speak for about half an hour about something. And neither are of any relevance at all, Howard. but they make conversation, whereas I don't know usually ends a conversation, doesn't it?
Yes, I agree, and on all counts. Though the problem, I would imagine, is coming up with things to talk about on a Zoom meeting where everything is.
Well, well, that is a good question, Howard. Now, you'd be amazed that I've been doing this now for 6 months every Thursday, and I've hardly ever shut up in so yeah, when there's, like you say, there's nothing really to say, and yet I can speak all day about it, just about.
Isn't it lovely?
Isn't it beautiful? Yeah.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate that, and I don't just for the sake of argument,
Yeah.
because you cannot know that you don't have a brain in time and space. I would argue that you must assume, or at least the appearance of me must assume, that I don't. Because if I did, it would be fairly simple to assess. It would be simple to ascertain. But because it does not
Yeah.
lend itself to any kind of credibility insofar as objective truth, then I can safely assume that what is happening is not thinking. And so the logic continues in that order. And that is why I asked the question.
Well, that sounds all very logical, Howard. But the truth is, really, you can give a shit whether you do or you don't. Could you? Really? Other than for the sake of argument, whether you know your brain and you whatever other questions you want to, you know this and you know that, you couldn't care less, really. It makes no difference other than for the sake of argument, which is fun. Don't get me wrong, if you enjoy it.
Well,
for some argument is fun, and for others it's torture. But
well, let me throw it to you like this. What if, and this is an actuality in my apparent existence, I like to imagine that what I'm imagining is not consciousness. I am not, obviously, if I don't have a brain in time and space, I'm not thinking, I'm not conscious. And all of this is not temporal dimension. Therefore, I can get to a place where now, or this apparent now, it's a moment outside of simultaneity because it's not time or space. So the reality is that there is no source for what I seem to be experiencing, and therefore I can disassociate from a source of thought to a destination via energy, for example. If I'm transferring energy from a source to a destination via energy, that is the definition of separation. And so to have a logical explanation for why that appears to be so and is not actually so, except for in the context of acceptance, as far as, you know, status quo. It is just
Wow.
assumed, it is assumed that there is a source.
Sorry, Howard,
So-
you're breaking up.
Well, in any case, all of this is to say that it may seem argumentative, but in fact,
No,
What
no,
it
I'm
is,
not saying
just-
you're argumentative. I'm saying
well,
for
what it is that it's just ways to learn how to illustrate within your own circles of reference that you're not really thinking, and this is not a you in a place.
yeah,
This is the totality of what can be known, and it is not knowledge. That is the most beautiful thing in the world, and I love to play with those ideas that are not ideas.
yeah. Well, that's well, Howard, you've said it in more words than I would say it, but yeah, I think it was the same. I'm not 100% sure.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Sort
It's
of.
just
Fine.
you're
of,
saying
fine.
it doesn't matter.
Um,
You're saying that it doesn't matter and who gives a shit, and it's not really
One-
knowledge, so who cares?
One thing I would say is that this isn't interested in a rational argument about it. Just not.
Yes, but
I know
rationality
I know
does
other-
not lend itself to inaccuracy. What I'm saying is it doesn't mean that it's incorrect because you want to become more accurate about what
No,
cannot be done.
sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm. No, there's nothing incorrect. Isn't that great?
Yes,
Isn't
it
that
is. It's
most wonderful-
fantastic.
Isn't the most wonderful freedom that no one's wrong anymore?
Oh, it's so amazing.
But-
It is so
but-
amazing.
But that is trumped by nobody's right anymore. That's much better still. That's the best. of it.
Right.
The
You
best.
know what really triggers me is the
the
God
best, no one's right.
Well, yeah, but yet still words trigger me, like God, for example, when somebody says, you know, the mind of God is everything. That, for
Yeah.
some reason, triggers me because it
That's
is
interesting.
completely baseless and ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I
So-
used to be triggered by God all the time, which was quite tricky being a religious education teacher, but being triggered by the word God.
I love
That,
it.
that made life interesting, I tell you. So there I was, and God was a trigger word, and that's what I spoke about all day long in all these different guises.
Yes. You know, I think we have a little bit in common in that regard. I spent a lot of time looking into the God,
But
you know.
now Howard, it does. It's as empty as all the other words.
Right. But see, this is the thing. It's not the word God. It's the appearance of someone else that, you know, I may or may not respect on some level, using the word God as if it was some kind of answer or some kind of, you know, all
Howard,
fitting super glue.
Howard, I'm going to finish you there just because you're cutting in and out, and I can't really get.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Thanks, Howard.
Thank you, man. Have a good one, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah.
See here. I'm going to mute myself.
Right. This isn't a position to defend. This is a position of no position. This doesn't have a position. So there's no that may be why it feels so peaceful, because it's kind of the antithesis of faith and belief, really, generally, which of course is about holding a position. And of course, some are more flexible positions, but they're all about holding a position of righteousness. And this isn't about righteousness at all. This is just this is about freedom from righteousness, because of course sin exists only because of righteousness. The whole idea of you can get it wrong is only because you could get it right, isn't it? So you got something wrong. Well, that was only because you had an idea and others told you of their ideas of how you got it wrong, because it wasn't right, because there was a right way it should have been. And while there's actually what's actually going on, which is all there ever is, you may well be telling yourself that what's going on is wrong. And in essence, that's what's traditionally been called sin, missing the mark, an error, not on the straight path, veering from where you should be, the path you should be on, how you should behave, how life should be showing up. It's not showing up how it should be showing up. And all of those ideas come from the sense of there's something essentially wrong with me. There's something essentially missing. There's something incomplete. I'm not whole. There's that dreadful fear of being found out, that you're essentially flawed, which is the most terrible lie. And it's not that you're unflawed. Your flaws are perfect as the flaws that they are. They're not yours. Every human being is just exactly as they are. Perfectly imperfect. So you hear, I've heard non-duality speakers speak about this as perfection. You know, everything's happening perfectly, which I remember as a seeker, I fucking hated that, because I would hear it and go, well, what a load of bollocks. Look at the shit that's going on in the world. I've never heard such nonsense. How's the world perfect? Well, it doesn't mean perfection. This is the perfection is an idea, and the idea is from my own imperfection. And then I seek that perfect wholeness. Well, the perfect wholeness is perfectly imperfect. It includes all the things that you feel are wrong, all the things that you dislike, all the things that you abhor, all the things that you're afraid of, all the pain, as well as all the beauty and the joy. There's simply no exclusion. Is there? Regardless of what you say. And who the hell do you think you are to say how life should be? Well, I know that's how it was for me. I was always telling life how it should be. And there we have politics, but we are not, I'm emphasizing this, my fingers come up in a teachery fashion. We are not venturing into politics, but I'm saying politics because if politics is only always talking about how it should be, you know. Politics is the extension of the, you know, it's a mass me, isn't it? The mass me of politics.
Tim, Lily's asking in chat, she says, what do you mean when you say dreams do not come true? She says, I look at some artists who achieved their dreams are getting recognition, for example, or publishing their art. What do you mean?
I bet they didn't. It's all very well looking from the outside and saying, oh yeah, well, he looks as though he's achieved his dreams. Well, there's probably nothing worse actually for self than achieving dreams, that's probably the worst thing that can happen for self, because self can slip into real despair then. It's very common for, I'm thinking, I was a sportsman. I'm using the past tense. I was a sportsman, so it was very common. It's very common for athletes to achieve their ultimate aim, say winning a Olympic gold medal, say, and that being a complete disaster for them, because they had this dream, and then they realized what they'd, so a goal, which is a dream, and they realized it, and then what were they when literally there was nowhere to go? You know, the reality of life really hit then, because while me is focused on its goal, so I'm not saying that dreams don't come true. I mean, essentially they don't come true, because there isn't a future time when your dream will come true. But in the story, of course, they can come true. Lily, in the story, dreams can come true. But a dream realized is probably a nightmare. What do I do now? I've had a dream all my life. This is what this would be the pinnacle. And then, of course, what were you left with? Really, really ordinary life with no dream. Oh, shit. What the hell am I going to do now? So the realization of dreams, which we've made, again, we've really made that God in individualistic Western society, haven't we? The realization of individual goals and dreams it's almost become sacred. I used to get sick and tired of that as a teacher. We were always goal setting with kids. Goal setting, achievement setting, steps towards the goal, ultimate goal. So and it was always about employment. And I always knew employment was a terrible thing. Just being told what to do just so you could eat and put petrol in your car. And then I was telling kids that, that was the goal of life. How terrible. Anyway. So dreams come true in the story, but a dream is just a dream. And when it's realized, it's probably realized that it wasn't a dream. What you could say, reality and a dream, they're never going to be the same, are they? I've got an analogy for you. Dreaming about your holiday. You got your annual holiday, dreaming about going abroad. And all you've done is fantasize for the last 6 months about how wonderful your holiday is going to be. Is your holiday the dream holiday? I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, it could still be great, but it's not the dream. The dream is what it is, a dream. And yeah, it's just a fantasy about an imagined future. The most radical thing about this is the death of time. That time is the dream. The dream is time. There isn't tomorrow. Let alone your holiday that you're dreaming of next summer. As long as Ryanair and EasyJet and British Airways haven't gone bust, as long as there are some aeroplanes flying, you can be lying all these winter nights in lockdown, dreaming of your summer, your summer dream holiday. And of course, it's just a dream, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with it, but it has no reality other than your dream. It's not yours. So Scott said, how is it to live without a dream? Oh. pretty empty, really. Not selling it tonight, am I? Pretty empty. Pretty
Whose
empty.
dream is it?
But remember, the dreams are most of the suffering. That I have to. My dreams need to come true. That's where most of the suffering is. I need to achieve what I need to achieve. I need to get what I need to get. I need to get to where I need to get to. All of that. So how is it without dreams? Well, by the way, I'm not talking about nighttime sleep dreams. I spoke a bit about that last week. Yeah, I think there's a lot of dreaming going on at night, but not a lot during the day. You could say this is liberation for dreams, because when dreams aren't mine, they're not significant. Then they're free to dream. You can dream what There's a sort of liberation to dreaming, because it hasn't got the weight of I need it to happen. Because dreams can be a real burden, can't they? And of course, hope goes along with dreams. Hopes and dreams are synonymous, really. They're just two ways of describing an imagined future. And we're speaking about the complete absence of hope. With the complete absence of a future. And yet that's not hopeless. Because with hope, when hope dies, hopeless dies with it. Because if you think about, because somebody said to me, well, it's often said that this message is nihilistic. Someone called me a nihilist the other day, and I went, well, I've looked it up. I had to look it up again. I'd forgotten what it really meant. And I went, no, this isn't nihilistic at all. And he said, but you're saying it's hopeless. I went, no, I'm saying there's no hope. There's no hopeless either. Because what does hopeless mean if hope doesn't mean anything? No hope, no hopeless. Don't ask me what's in their place. There's no knowing that. But you won't want to know. Have you got yet that you're the one asking all the fucking questions? Have you got that yet? Who's asking the questions? It's you. Is life asking you any questions? No. You're asking the questions, and that girl sitting next to you, that guy sitting next to you, he's got some questions as well. But without you lot asking the questions, life doesn't have any questions. And most incredibly, it doesn't have any answers either. You're the one imagining that you need to know some answers in order for life to be okay. Bullshit. Life doesn't recognize you. Life doesn't know you. Life's not interested in you. Life's utterly ambivalent towards you. In a neutrality that is so empty, it's indescribable. There's nothing there. And in that, everything is. There it is. Here it is. All of it. It's not for you. It's not for me. It's not for anyone. There isn't anyone. No one has anything other than the people, each one of us, each self saying, I have this, and having it confirmed by other selves that, oh yeah, you have that, but this is mine. Don't touch this. This is mine. It's all nonsense. All of it. But don't go and steal the first car you see. I'm not really talking of materially. I'm talking about what we believe we are, our beliefs, our identity, who I say I am, what I say is important, what I say I believe in. They're the things we hold most dear. Whoever thought that the only compassion, the real compassion, the real love is complete indifference? No one would guess. It's so the opposite of what we've been taught. You've heard it said so many times, if you've listened to other speakers, you've heard unconditional love bandied about. Unconditional love. And that's what it's pointing at. It's pointing at this not caring about him more than her, not caring about that more than this. Non-judgment, which includes all judgments, not judging judgments. It's so unconditional, isn't it? And the reason it's unconditional is because every life is just as it is. And it is quite wonderful when it's obvious that life isn't interested in your opinion. Wow, that is some relief. That's freedom. This is freedom. This is already free. But you are imprisoning in a cell of your own making, imprisoning yourself in a cell that is yourself. So you're the jailer and the prisoner and the cell. You say you hold the keys. You can't find them. Typical. Oh, I'll let myself out today. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to let myself. I'm going to have a day off. I deserve a day off. I've worked really hard. I'm going to give myself, yeah, cut myself some slack. Walk around the exercise yard for, for 40 minutes before I have to be careful going in the showers. Careful not to drop the soap. And
then lock myself back up again afterwards, after the walk.
No, because because the freedom, I'm terrified of being set free. What the hell would I do then?
But it's not my fault.
It's not your fault. You can't help it. And of course, the incredible news is there is no one in jail. There is no prisoner. There is no cell. There is no jailer. I remember a cartoon. This is years ago when I was a seeker, and there was a cartoon of a guy who was the sun was shining through the bars of his prison cell, and he was pulling himself up to look at the sun, and just stretched just so that he could get a little bit of light. And I feel that's certainly, that really rang true for me when I was a desperate seeker. And then he turned round and there was no back to the cell at all. So he was just looking at the bars. And all he had to do was turn around and there was complete freedom. But he chose not to go there because there was nothing there for him. It was just empty. It was just nothing, just completely open. So self prefers the cell. I know where I am. I know who I am. So yeah, there's no gate, gateless or otherwise.
Tim, would you say knowing where you are is the gate, is the cage?
Say again?
Knowing where you are is the cage? That need to know?
No,
That,
knowing who, no,
because
knowing,
outside of the cage, you won't know who you are anymore. So in a way, it's the attraction is there.
yeah, it's worse than not knowing. It is not knowing, but you won't, literally you won't exist anymore. We've made up existence, you know. Self has made up existence. Existence means, you know, separation. That's what it means. So I exist, so you exist. And so does the table and the orange. And they're all separate existence. They all have their own existential reality. And we've made that up. Clever. We are clever though, aren't we? We're just enamored. Self is enamored with this cleverness. And the one thing that is really obvious, cleverness doesn't impress anymore. You won't be, because cleverness is knowledge, and knowledge is seen as empty. So you won't be enamored with cleverness or profound understanding, because there's nothing essentially there's nothing to understand. Understanding and knowledge get you no closer, but there's nothing wrong with them. They don't get you further away either. You never move. Isn't that great? Not for you, it's not great because you want to move probably, but it is great. In this unmoving movement.
Tim, did you notice the time?
Oh, thanks, Darren. No, been enjoying myself.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, we had at least a minute's quiet there. Well, that's, that was worth going over time for. We don't have many of those. Well, thanks ever so much for coming. Thank you, everybody. And I realise now I'm looking at participants. Everyone's been dropping like flies, and I haven't even noticed. Never mind. Thanks ever so much for coming. Thanks particularly to Rogia, who has made my day by.
You're very welcome, Tim.
Oh no, it's great to see
Very
you.
lovely.
I hope to have a chat with you soon.
Yeah, me too.
If you'd like to make a donation, if you think it's worthy of some financial out. Sorry, every time I say I'm not going to be flippant about the money, and yeah, I can't help it. I'm not really comfortable around money. There you go. That's why I haven't got any. So send me some.
There's a link on Facebook and YouTube. I think it's PayPal
Darren, do it for
Tim
me.
Cliss.
Darren, plug it.
I think it's PayPal /Tim Cliss. But it's on Facebook and YouTube. If you want to donate anything, it's all gratefully received.
Yeah. And and I will give one more plug. I'm so over time, but if you have bought my book and you would like to, Scott's done a brilliant review, as has Darren, and quite a few of you. Marcus, you've not done it yet. I'm thinking you haven't got the book, which is upsetting me. He has got the book. No, I was only joking, Marcus. Don't get it. Yes, he has got it. If you haven't written a review, I tell you why. There's this algorithm or something, whatever you call it, on Amazon, that if it gets 20 reviews, then somebody buys a book, looks at non-duality books, it will come up as you may also be interested in Tim Cliss, This Deafening Silence. Now, that would be nice. When everybody's buying Tony's books, then I might sell a few. That'd be great. Or not. So if you'd like to, if you'd like to write a review, that I'd appreciate that. Thanks very much. Thanks everybody. Sorry for missing the time, and cheers, Darren.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Lovely to see you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Marcus, by Monday, get it done.
Thanks, Tim. Bye.
Bye, Tim.
Bye.